Hey everybody, welcome back to the Week Sports Podcast for January 20th, 2025. Full episode will be dedicated to the 4 divisional playoff games that we get to watch this weekend. I don't know about you, my rooting interests 0 for 4 this weekend. So hopefully you actually had a more enjoyable weekend than I did. So without further ado, let's get into the first game this weekend, which was Kansas City Chiefs versus the Houston Texans. And the Chiefs won 23-14 to advance to their 7th straight AFC title game. Pretty crazy. Mostly crazy because the Pats went to 8 and they crossed over for one of them, which was, very fun historically. Maybe not fun in the moment because at that point we were all very tired of the New England Patriots and very tired of their dynasty. We were hoping these upstart Kansas City Chiefs and second-year starter Patrick Mahomes could end the reign of terror. Alas, it was not to be. And we didn't know then that we'd be getting a new reign of terror. But that's where we're at. So, the game was pretty fun. CJ Stroud, 245 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Joe Mixon, 18 carries, 88 yards, and 1 touchdown. Nico Collins, 5 receptions for 81 yards. As for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 44 yards, 1 touchdown. And Travis Kelce, 7 receptions, 114 yards, and a touchdown that put the Chiefs up 20-12 and really sealed the game for the Chiefs. One of the most interesting parts about this game was the Texans had 336 yards while the Chiefs only had 212, and the Texans had no turnovers, and they still lost, which is pretty unheard of, actually. I want to give a lot of credit to the Texans defense. When we were previewing this game last week, I said, hey, the Texans can beat the Chiefs, but it will take their defense playing pretty much lights out in order to do it. And I think their defense got as close as you can to playing lights out without actually winning the game. I don't know if your thoughts are any different there. I thought not in contrast, but in conflict to that, the Chiefs also played incredibly sound defense. And, this is how you win playoff games. This is how you win Super Bowls, when you have these defenses that are as extraordinary as Kansas City is this year, and maybe the Texans will be in the future. The other big issue that came out from this game, and I think it plays in a little bit too, we're all a little bit tired of the Chiefs. We're all kind of over Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. We want something new here, and anytime the Chiefs get a call that goes their way, it's extra frustrating. Very similar to how it was with the Patriots, where these were two teams that are very good. They're going to be in close games if the other team is also good. And if they get a call, it just feels like, man, the Chiefs get all of the calls. Man, the Patriots got all of the calls. I don't think it's necessarily rigging as some, want to say it is, but it's definitely frustrating as a viewer. Makes you not really want to watch when this team's so good. They don't need any additional calls. And then to layer in on top of that, we all got very frustrated with Tom Brady being whiny as he was. It was kind of a meme about how he would whine about everything. Now Patrick Mahomes has kind of become similar. And then in addition, he does this thing that none of us like, where he will run to the sidelines, and as he gets to the sideline, he'll let up. He'll just turn his run into a brisk walk, hoping for a player to hit him. And we talked about this earlier this season on the channel. The only way that is going to stop is if someone hits him as hard as humanly possible to make sure that he doesn't do that, because the NFL is certainly not going to step in to stop that. And yeah, you're going to be labeled a dirty player. Yeah, you're probably going to get fined. You might even get suspended. But if defenses seriously can't, count on the league or the refs to do anything, then you need to make it so that the player himself doesn't do it. That's the only, I mean, Drew Bledsoe got hit running out of bounds a little too slowly. Maybe people say it was, wrong, and that led to Tom Brady. Stuff like this has happened before. But yeah, it's gonna be like you gotta take one for the team or it's never gonna stop. And the NFL certainly doesn't want that. They might execute the player at midfield, but that's the only way it's gonna stop. So that's my opinion on that. Congratulations to the Chief, Patrick Mahomes. Please stop running like that near the sidelines. And we'll see what happens in the AFC Championship game. If you're a Texans or Chiefs fan, would love to hear your thoughts on this one in the comments. Moving on. The Detroit Lions and the Commanders met in the divisional round, and the Commanders defeated the Lions 45-31 to advance to the NFC Championship game. So, Jaden Daniels, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson Jr., 77 rushing yards on 15 carries and 2 touchdowns. De'Ami Brown, 6 receptions at 98 yards. Jared Goff, 313 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 receptions, 137 yards. So, the story to me, really, for this game is that second quarter where the Commanders scored 28 points. Jared Goff played bad. He threw interceptions. He just was not looking very good in that second quarter and made a big hole for the Lions to climb out of. So much so that even if they had held the Commanders scoreless in the second half, it would have been 31-31. But of course, in the fourth quarter, they scored 14 more points. So it was 45-31 here. And for me, and I'm sure a lot of people, the first thing you want to talk about is like, wow, the Lions blew this. They really, really blew it. They went 15-2, number 1 seed, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And we will get to that. But let's give credit to the Commanders. Second overall pick last season, rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn, first year coaching the Commanders, and amazing job. They're in the NFC Championship game. This has to feel great if you're a Commanders fan. Will be very interesting to see. I mean, they split with Philly this season, so could go either way there. Both teams are very good. So congrats to the Commanders there. Now let's talk about the Lions. Not necessarily as fun, because this is sad, because this was probably their best chance to win a Super Bowl. They came close last year, getting to the NFC Championship game, ultimately blowing a lead in the NFC Championship game, and the 49ers went on to win and go on to lose the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, which is extra frustrating because the Lions had beaten the Chiefs last season. So it's like, could they have won in the Super Bowl? Maybe. But they pretty much brought everybody back, including Ben Johnson, who very importantly will most likely not be their offensive coordinator next season. This felt like a last hurrah for him with the Lions, where it's like, okay, I'm going to give this team that I believe can win a Super Bowl, that I love being a part of, one more shot to win. But I got to take a head coaching job, probably to the Raiders. We'll see, probably soon. I would expect, honestly, by Wednesday, my next episode of Wicked Good Sports to be talking about him going to the Raiders. But for now, I really felt like this was the best chance for the Lions. And unfortunately, someone really succinctly broke it down. The Lions now are Matt Stafford away from winning a Super Bowl. They probably can't win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Unfortunate as that is, he just is not good enough when it comes down to it in the playoffs here. And so, unfortunate for them. It'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. Maybe they have someone they can promote internally to kind of keep the same kind of offensive style that Ben Johnson's been doing, but disappointing time to be a Lions fan. I would listen, as a Dolphins fan, I think now I can know stolen valor when it comes to being sad about a team. The Dolphins haven't been to a title game since I think it was 94, 95, something like that, when they showed it yesterday after the Commanders made it. And so, second longest drought of any team. I think the longest is the Browns, who didn't exist for a portion of it, so not great. But I would be sick if my team was so dominant in the regular season and then just whiffed in the playoffs. We got a little bit of that last year where we started off really dominant, beat a team 70-20, and then lost in the first round of the playoffs. But my heart goes out to Lions fans. So if you're a Commanders or Lions fan, we'd love to hear your thoughts about this one in the comments. Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Los Angeles Rams 28-22 to move on to the NFC Championship game. And this was a very fun, very exciting game. Matthew Stafford, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 106 yards rushing. And Puka Nacua, 6 receptions for 97 yards. Jalen Hurts, 128 yards passing. Saquon Barkley, the star of the game, 26 carries, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, 4 receptions, 56 yards. So, I'll take the heat. I want to see Saquon Barkley get the record for rushing yards, but I understand why they didn't play him. It was the right choice to get a playoff, performance like this out of him to get to the NFC title game, to probably be the favorites now to go to the Super Bowl and to be a team good enough to win the Super Bowl. I get it. I will take my lumps for being on the other side of that argument there. But this was a really fun game, really hard fought. I did think the Rams were going to win coming into this one, but, congratulations to Philly. I think the biggest storyline coming out of this one was obviously Saquon Barkley having this monster game, but Jalen Hurts did get injured. He hurt his knee in this game, so we're going to have to see how important that is. I mean, look, Jalen Hurts, pedestrian passing yards. I think we all know that he's going to put up numbers like this passing, but that man is a difference maker in the running game. He had like a 50-yard rushing touchdown in this game. The tush push is unstoppable. Can you do it safely if his knee's messed up? We're going to have to see. But going into the NFC Championship game, I really do think that the Philadelphia Eagles are the favorites here. And I honestly, would like to see them go to the Super Bowl. I think this is a team, if Jalen Hurts is healthy, that can beat the Chiefs or the Bills, who obviously the Bills, not my favorite team because I'm a Dolphins fan, and the Chiefs, I am tired of them. So consider me an Eagles fan for the foreseeable future until the end of February, I guess. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that this game was as exciting as I do? The snow, the stakes, the talent coming down to the end. Was Los Angeles going to score to tie it and then maybe win on an extra point? But even if they did, the field's pretty bad. Would they have made it? But they didn't get into the end zone. So it doesn't matter. 28-22. What a sight. Just these are the types of games that make you love football. So let me know your thoughts about this one. If you're an Eagles fan, let me know how excited you are about this one. If you're a Rams fan, well, obviously you're not going to be excited about this loss, but like the Rams came a long way this season from starting out 1-4 to finishing with a chance to get to the NFC Championship game. So shout out to them. Should be good next year as long as Matthew Stafford doesn't retire. I guess we'll see that. But yeah, great game. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments. So let's move on finally to probably the game of the week. The Buffalo Bills winning 27-25 over the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Derrick Henry, 84 yards rushing and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely, 4 receptions, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. Josh Allen, 127 yards passing, no touchdowns, no pick, but 2 rushing touchdowns. James Cook, 17 carries, 67 yards. Khalil Shakir, 6 receptions, 67 yards. So obviously, like, the biggest thing people are going to talk about this one is Mark Andrews' disaster class of a game. A fumble that led to points for the Bills, and then dropping the 2-point conversion. And yeah, the pass wasn't perfect, but like, when you've established yourself as one of like the better tight ends in the league, you gotta catch that, man. I know he's sick to his stomach. I'm sure, but tough, very tough outcome for Mark Andrews and the Ravens. On the other hand, Lamar Jackson, I think there are some things to criticize that are very legitimate, and I will admit that. He played poorly in the first half. He had an interception, he had a fumble. The fumble led to points for the Bills. Very bad. In the second half, he played outstanding football, and I think he should be commended for that. And I think being down 19 to 27, getting the ball on your own 12-yard line, and just marching down the field, scoring a touchdown, and giving your Pro Bowl receiver an opportunity to catch the ball, to tie the game, and him dropping it. Like, I can't criticize Lamar Jackson. And I will admit, I am biased. He is one of my favorite players. He's been one of my favorite players since he was in college. He's so fun to watch. He's so good, in my opinion. And it's very disappointing for this outcome. However, I think people are, a little hard on him. I mean, look, right now he's in the Peyton Manning spot, right? Peyton's first like 8 seasons in the NFL, not a lot of playoff success. And we've had younger quarterbacks come in, Patrick Mahomes, the real one, he's a contemporary, but like the real example of this where he comes in, he's won 3 Super Bowls already. So now the standard is like, why are all the other quarterbacks not Super Bowl champions? But Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes have skewed the perception of how many championships all these players should have. And so I think he can still win a Super Bowl. Yes, he doesn't play as good in the playoffs as he plays in the regular season, generally. He has some bad playoff games under his belt, but I don't think he's unsalvageable. And listen, I remember one of my earliest football memories. You have to remember, started watching in 2001. I'm old. I'm 31, but I'm not that old. So I don't have like tons of memories going back. But one of my earliest football memories is watching Peyton Manning throw 3 interceptions to Ty Law and another interception to another player, Asante Samuel, maybe Laurie Malloy. Can't no, probably not Asante Samuel. He wasn't in the league then. Laurie Malloy, more possible, but someone please fact check me on that. Um, but regardless, 3 interceptions to Ty Law, 4 overall, losing the AFC Championship game 24-14 to Tom Brady and the Patriots, who would go on to win their 3rd Super Bowl. I think it was their 3rd Super Bowl that year. That was the '03 season. So maybe their 2nd. So it's all starting to jumble together in my old age. But yeah, I mean, Peyton Manning had some disastrous starts, and I don't think this was a disastrous start for Lamar Jackson. Was it subpar compared to what I think was an MVP season? Yeah, absolutely. But I still think he can win a Super Bowl. Moving over to the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, he's going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year. The Bills have been one of the better teams in the AFC these last few years, running into Patrick Mahomes and losing 3 straight times in the playoffs to the Chiefs. Last year in the divisional round, they lost. Very, sad for them since they had it at home. Now they're going to go to Arrowhead with an opportunity to vanquish their demons. Will they do it? I don't know. As someone pointed out, it's not like the Bills are used to losing 4 straight heartbreaking playoff, games, those being the Super Bowls, of course. I think they can beat the Chiefs. Am I going to pick them? You have to watch the next episode of this podcast to see if I will, but I do think they have a chance. And I think, they've already beaten them once this season. And a lot of people were like down on Josh Allen, being like, nobody thought that we could do it. And I want to defend him because, like, realistically, the narrative, and I even played into it on this channel, the Bills were 2nd or 3rd in this division behind the Dolphins and Jets, depending on who you went to. Some people thought the Jets would be the class of it. Some people thought the Dolphins. I didn't think Tua would get hurt and miss so many games, and then they'd have won more, and maybe they could have won the division, but that's, me being naive, I guess. But the Bills were a team where the narrative was they didn't get any better, and other teams in this division are good, did get better. So the Bills probably not going to be as good as they were the last few seasons. And yet, here we are. Once again, an AFC title game with the Chiefs and the Bills should be extremely exciting. I will let you know as I think about it more in the next episode who I think will come out on top there. So if you're a Ravens or Bills fan, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed all of the divisional round action this last week. If you're going to watch the college football national championship game tonight, hope you enjoy that. I'm Brian Marr. Thank you so much for listening. Check out our main channel, Wicked Good Everything. This channel is Wicked Good Sports. We also have a podcasting channel, Better Radio, where we do podcasts that aren't the Wicked Good Sports podcast. And we have another channel for video game news called Those Fake Nerds. So check those all out. Again, really appreciate you taking the time to listen, and we'll see you in the next one.